Folks, welcome into the Crowdus' podcast presented by Trainwreck Sports. Wake here, your friend Jake, Majka, and your friendly neighborhood MereKat here to recap Bills versus Indy, to talk about, of course, Bills versus Denver this weekend, a potential, AFC Championship preview. Who the hell knows? But one thing I do know, guys, is we have a new sponsor alert here on the Crowdus' podcast. It's more than just Outlet Liquor, the place to buy a case. What's your outlet? Of course, my little party I'm having Labor Day weekend, going to stock up with them. It is the place to stock up, whether it's wine, spirits, anything else. But we're looking forward to the season. We're looking forward to getting together with other fans of Buffalo. Up there in the top right corner, you see their logo. I could have had something a little better for a sponsorship debut, but you know what? We're all pointing at it. I pointed the wrong way. That's okay, though.
I had to think about it first before I pointed. I'm like,
he's
over there.
I did it wrong. I went that way.
I would have done it. I still can't even get it. Like,
I'm just gonna do this and just look whichever way you gotta. Boom. There we go. Fans of Buffalo is the best way to get any Bills road game, whether alone or with a group. Book your entire trip, from flights to hotels to parties to the game. Just any missing piece that you have for a Bills getaway weekend, Fans of Buffalo totally has you covered. So check out fansofbuffalo.com. They're going to be riding with us the entire 2022-2023 season. So very excited to have them. And we're very excited about a lot of the young guys on this football team right now. I mean, I think...
Before we go, hold on.
Yeah.
Before we start, we have to officially start this.
Please.
Broncos country.
Let's ride.
Let's ride. We just had to each do that once.
That's right.
Shout out fans of Buffalo too.
Broncos country.
I always have friends that'll like text me and be like from out of town and stuff, and they'll be like, "Oh, like how do I get an authentic Buffalo experience or something?" And like I never really know how to answer. I'm like, "Oh, you can go here, maybe." I just tell them like the normal things. But like fans of Buffalo, hit them up now. Show sponsor, they got you covered.
Definitely have you covered. And speaking of having people covered, Kaiir, Elam, and Christian Benford, like they had everyone covered.
Transition.
He's
a
transition.
Master, ladies and gentlemen.
Beautiful.
God damn it. No, I learned from Maniac. I learned from the best of them, But, if we're going to look back at Indy here, Kaiir Elam getting pissed off after letting up a 2-yard completion on 3rd and 6. Like, if that's not the mentality that you want this defense to have and the mentality we've come to expect from a Leslie Frazier defense, he is fitting right in. And Christian Benford, 6th rounder out of Villanova. We spent a lot of last show talking about him. We talked about him on Saturday with Robin Mundy of Buffalo fan base too. It's interesting and it's intriguing because I was listening to Locked On Bills guys, and Joe Marino does a great job over there and at the Draft Network. Very lucky to have him in the Bills media sphere. But he pointed out something kind of interesting, and that's that the cornerback playing on the side that presumably would be opposite Dane Jackson was not Kaiir Elam, and it was actually Christian Benford. Yep. And I'm looking at the Bills depth chart, the official depth chart on their website right now, and who's the cornerback behind Tre White? It's Christian Benford. So I feel like maybe we're hearing the starters are going to play. That means Dane Jackson's going to be back in the lineup. Could we see Christian Benford out there with the first team defense in the first quarter?
I think we might.
No.
I mean, you got to give him that shot now, not week one. True. Don't let him play against second, third teamers all preseason, then be like, oh, let's roll the dice. If Elam, they don't think is ready to step into that role just yet. But Elam looked good. And I think this is a good week for it because you're going to go up against some decent competition with the Broncos. I know they're sitting a lot of their guys. They should be weary with their wide receiver room. The past few years, they've been plagued with bad injuries. There's a fly in my room. Okay, don't love that.
No, my girlfriend got one. Lauren got one earlier with the fly swatter. I was so proud of her. It was incredible.
Wow, did it get in? Oh, okay.
Such a dick.
This is like the Breaking Bad episode now. The whole
I've
episode.
never seen Breaking Bad. I haven't watched Breaking Bad.
All right, we got end broadcast. Watch a few episodes, then we'll come back in.
I almost fell asleep every time I tried to watch it.
Oh You gotta.
The first episode is very hard to watch. It's very slow to start.
Most annoying wife in the history of television too, and I only saw like 3 episodes.
She stays pretty bad.
I've heard the rumor.
That's the worst. That's the worst part of the show. But you got to give Benford a shot either like this week or next week with the first teamers because he's flashing, and there's so many question marks at their cornerback position. Who is going to step up as that second boundary corner? We want it to be Elam, but if it's Benford, that's okay because Elam's looked okay, and he's a guy that we knew kind of needed development, and we'll take a surprise if Benford can deliver. But I don't want to make rash decisions on the guy, but he looked great.
What you just said, like, I'll take a surprise. Like, that's where I'm at with it at this point, because if the kid's showing more in camp, like you said, week 1 is. It's not like they're just walking into like an easy game at all. They're playing the Super Bowl defending champs with a wide receiver room that is loaded. Like it would be a tough test for even the best secondary in the league, what they're walking into. So if you're 3% more confident that Benford can do a better job on Allen Robinson or Cooper Kupp than Elam is, then I don't care, at least in my mind, I don't think they would care what round these guys are going to be picked in or anything else either, or expectation wise. It is very interesting that he's right behind Tre on the depth chart. That's a very intriguing placement because you would think too then, because the ideal way, like the way you could look at it is for week 1, it's like Dane Jackson and Elam maybe switching out and Benford's getting more time or whatever else, or that Elam is always just being like positioned across from White anyways. So that's why he's sitting over there. But I don't know. It's just Benford has just, it seems like he's been more consistent, and we're just giving we're only not saying that because Elam was the first round pick and no one wants to be like, oh man, the 6th round pick, he's outplaying the first round pick, because that's a bad narrative. That's in theory it's a negative when coming out of the camp narrative, everything else. But in this case, I really think it's like one of the biggest developments as a positive for this team if he's an actual player, because I've been so worried about the cornerback depth going into this year. So if they got two quality starter worthy cornerbacks out of this draft, I mean, it's a fucking coup. So I'm hoping optimistically that's what it's going to be. And if that's what Benford is, just a star or a stud that was a diamond in the rough, then get credit to Brandon Beane again, I guess. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
No, they do what it seems like the Steelers have done with wide receiver, but at cornerback. And it's get these guys past round 1, past round 3 sometimes, whether it's Saran Neal, Taron Johnson, Dane Jackson, Damar Hamlin, and now added to the list, Christian Benford, another unspoken guy. No one was really looking at him in the draft. I mean, like MereKat and I know you as Majka as well, like we go further into the draft than probably most people should, right? Yeah. Like we get attached to these day 3 dudes that we'll probably never remember. And Christian Benford wasn't even one of those guys this year. And it's far from shocking to see this happen. And I think Majka, that's a good point you made, that maybe they have Kaiir Elam on that side behind Dane Jackson because they see him possibly challenging for that side of the defense with Dane more so. Like this is a defense that plays sides. People don't often switch that up. So I think that's a good point. I think if Christian Benford starts the season off as the CB2, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's a better cornerback than Kaiir Elam. He just might be more adept to fill in this particular situation. Should Dane Jackson go out, it could probably be Kaiir Elam stepping in. So
and I think that plays to Elam's strengths too. Like we've talked about him since the draft, like you were mentioning. He's a guy that wants to take chances, wants to be physical and do all those things. He's going to be able to freelance a little bit more when he has 3 all-pros in the secondary rather than another rookie or Dane Jackson in any case. So, yeah, I think that there might be something to – once he has that protection from those guys, then they can kind of let him get free reign. But up until then, they might want to, not let him go all the way loose yet, especially with these first couple games.
Yeah, no, for sure. MereKat, we're looking back at this Indianapolis game. Who stuck out to you? Who's someone that you think has more that they can build on coming this weekend against Denver?
I don't want to just keep doing it. I really don't. Like
it's not a bit.
I want to be.
It's not a bit anymore.
Be more creative. I want to talk about other guys, but if he didn't go off, I wouldn't be talking about him right now. But we saw Isaiah Hodgins make the catch of the game to help the Bills seal the deal with the comeback there. Just unreal. We saw the highlights all over Twitter, the release off the line, getting downfield, how far ahead that ball was thrown from him. It was thrown when he was like 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. So far ahead of him. He gets out. He gets it. I was harping on his catch radius. His athleticism with the ball's not incredible, but getting to the ball, he'll get to it. And he showed up. He put up big numbers. And obviously, to the other receiver, it was really nice seeing Kaiir Shakir get a good game because I liked Kaiir Shakir a lot. Took him a couple of my dynasties. Love it. And I thought maybe we'd see him make the team as like a sixth receiver or something and then be a special teams guy. Punt return, kick return like he did in college. Super athletic, quick. But we're seeing him have that chance to be that third receiver. I keep talking about it. We don't know who it's going to be yet. I'm not giving it to Isaiah Hodgins. But I think Kaiir Shakir actually has a shot because that's what they would need with, Diggs and Davis on the field. It seems like McKenzie's, people feel like he's locked into that position. I don't. And Kaiir Shakir, with continuing to impress this preseason, I think that could be his spot.
The only reason I would argue McKenzie's locked into it is because he did sit in that first game. But that's the only reason I really have. Did he earn it last year? Definitely. But this is not the 2022. We're not replaying last year's season. We're playing a brand new season where we're looking for possibly someone new to step up. Of course, Kaiir Shakir also did look good on those punt returns, the kickoff returns, and everything he did there. Of course, didn't always have, the flashy returns like Blackshear had, of course. But those are like fourth string special teamers he's going against. So, talent's going to win out there every single time. But two, Shakir just held on to the ball. He didn't have a whole lot of room. So I think that, at first, at the beginning of the season, my impression is that Shakir is going to probably be the primary kick returner and punt returner, and then kind of get in those four receiver sets. If you go five wide, definitely.
That's more realistic.
More realistic. But one injury, and he is the guy that people are rushing to their waiver wires to get in fantasy leagues because they're like, he could be Josh Allen's new number 3 option.
And the thing is with him, too, he's showing how many different things he can do with the ball, how he can get to the ball, how he can catch the ball. He's not just, taking a 5-10 yard slant and doing his thing with it, which you saw a lot of him do in college, but he was catching balls downfield along the boundary, making difficult catches in different situations. So that's super, super promising to see out of him. I think him and Isaiah Hodgins are both going to make this roster. That's not just off of the first preseason game. I just love them both. Shakir more of a lock, but loved what we saw out of them. The receiving core, super positive. And I shouted out before the game. I said I was excited to watch Jaquan Johnson get a ton of reps. Got a nice interception, looked good out there. Not like he's a guy who's not going to make this roster. It wasn't pretty much a guarantee, a G word, an L word, lock. But
if you will,
and
I will.
It was nice. It's nice to see your guys eat.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And even Robin mentioned Quentin Morris, and he had that nice, like, 20-plus yard catch.
Incredible.
To keep that last drive going or, just keep the Bills in it at the end there. And speaking of keeping the Bills in it, I mean, where would we be if it weren't for the amazing holding of Matt Araiza? I mean, like, come on, the dude's doing everything we need him to do. And myself, admittedly, would have liked to see a little more touch on that punt. It's not, we know he has the giant leg. I'm not going to say I'm disappointed that he punted at 82 yards. I'll take that every single time. But if I'm going to come away from a game thinking I want to learn something new about this guy, what else can he offer? It's fun. That was like in Josh Allen's first preseason game when that first throw was like an 80-yard bomb that wasn't complete. Like, all right, you know what? It didn't work out perfectly, but people are pretty damn excited about that now. There is the conversation that some people are having that maybe, the lack of hang time with Matt Araiza could be a concern. NFL special teamers could adjust to that, just go back deeper and then have more room to return it. Majka, is that something concerning to you whatsoever? Because also lowest hang time in the NFL last year was Matt Hawk, apparently, a stat brought to you by the guys at Locked On Bills in the same episode that they pointed out that other thing. So, it's not like
they can't get worse at hang time.
They can't get worse.
Okay. They can't get worse at hang time. So then I won't think about hang time again. I saw a dude kick the ball 62 yards and actually it went 62 yards net and actually it went 82 yards. I didn't need to see anything else. That's how I felt. That could be, I mean, that's just such a weapon in a game that they had no option with last year, especially we saw what it looked like in weather situations with Hawk. Like they really didn't want to trust him. And I don't think any of us really trusted him at a certain point in those situations.
No.
And just being able to flip the field in a situation where your offense is struggling or not moving the ball the way they should. And what we think this defense is, it's so important. I mean, it's so important. It's not sexy. It's not going to be the exciting thing. But if he can regularly kick the ball in a big situation like that, if they're at their own 25-yard, they go 50 yards, 55 yards, it's just an element that they haven't had an option for in ever. Yeah. And it's just, and it's already a team that like you're trying to get better on the margins. This team is good everywhere, right? Like they're a Super Bowl favorite. Where can you improve? That is a big margin that will be that'll be different from last year's squad and last couple of years.
For sure. And you know, there was the one like punting account that put out like if a punter had a touchback every single punt, it would actually still be the best punter in the NFL, like statistically. So like if that's what we're signing up for,
I'll take it. Yeah.
Oh no, yeah. Twist my arm, why don't you? And what else the Bills are kind of signing up for is a bit of a dilemma, possibly at the QB2 position. Now, you can say what you want. Case Keenum didn't look fantastic. He was going up against actual starters, right? Matt Barkley came in, was going against second and third teamers, and then mounted a 14-point comeback, 17 points total to allow the Bills to win that game. So is there really a quarterback controversy here at QB2? Because I think what also you can attribute it all to is Barkley's been here before. He's been in an offense run by Brian Daboll. Ken Dorsey was there. It's very much a similar offense. He knows what to expect and what he has to do here.
Yeah, it's like he is kind of set. I think they're both just locked. I think we're going to keep three quarterbacks. I don't know.
Really?
I think we might keep three quarterbacks. I don't love it as a guy who wants us to keep 7 receivers and 4 running backs.
Same.
Let's keep 6 linemen.
Dream the impossible dream, MereKat.
6 linemen, 2 tight ends. We're all good. But I don't know. It's weird. It's not a battle to me because I don't know. I think they're both going to make it. Keenum has more of an upside, can probably do more for you if needed, because we've seen it before, a ton more arm talent. But Barkley, we love him. We love Barkley.
But we love him.
We love him.
I can't argue with that. No, I do think I want to see Case Keenum if we're getting a bunch of starters playing this weekend and everything else looking forward. I know it probably won't be with Stephon Diggs, but if he gets to play with, you know, Gabe Davis and Isaiah McKenzie and at least a little bit, maybe some of the starting running backs, I would like to see that more. But I think for me, as much as anything, it's just a reminder that Case Keenum is indeed a backup quarterback and he's not going to be on when we want him to be on. So I think that's everybody is like, yes, he is a very, like you said, high upside backup quarterback and has had success obviously as a starter in the league at times, but still a journeyman career backup guy is going to have bad days even against, you know, not the best players. And like you said, they were playing the ones. That's a great defense, obviously, in Indianapolis. So I'm not too worried. I was really impressed with Barkley, though. I don't care who it's against because he made some great throws, just like great throws in general. And you're right about the arm talent, whatever. But the placement was there, the commands, like to take that situation seriously, and they bring them back in a game where, you know, some teams would just want to try to go home for the day and whatever else. Like, that's impressive. So I came out and just happy that Barkley was thrived in that situation.
Yeah, I think they want Keenum to win it though, because
I think so.
Definitely.
Just like knock out whatever. Some Josh Allen goes down, they can trust Case Keenum to throw the ball 30 times, 35 times in a game. I don't think they have that same trust in Barkley, even though he's a safer pick. You know, these are veterans. We know what they are at this point, but Barkley's ceiling is a lot lower than Case Keenum's.
Yes.
Definitely.
Similar floors for sure.
Yeah.
Barkley's floor might be a little higher.
You could imagine,
think
imagine a Keenum game where he goes off for like 280 and like 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns. I don't know if I could do that with Barkley, but I could both imagine them being like 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, like game management. Like they could do that stuff easily with this team. And they're loaded. I mean, it's really like it would just be taking the risky stuff out, but even the safe stuff for the Bills might be better than most bad teams in the league this year. So
and especially if they do start to draw up some more concepts that do get that yak going, which we were not very efficient in last year. Like, and I think Kaiir Shakir is going to be a big part of that. Back to him. That's why I think, MereKat, to your point, I think he could have a bigger role on this offense that some people might be kind of expecting right now. Add in James Cook. I mean, there are a lot of speedy guys out there, and Devin Singletary too. He's great with the ball when he gets into the open space. The issue is getting him the ball in the open space sometimes through the air. Switching sides, though, to the defense a little bit, go back to the defensive front now for the first time tonight. I mean, everyone was impressed with Tim Settle. I don't know. I'm so used to 2 thumbs up. 2 thumbs up. Mike,
I only saw one.
But
I only saw one. There we go.
No, yeah, okay. Thank you. but against one of the best guard in the NFL, in Quentin Nelson, I'm used to defensive line signings not really working out here, right? Like Vernon Butler, that was a bad one. Who is the? I'm forgetting the dude, but he was okay. The other English Pathways program guy.
I forget his name.
F.A. Obata. That's the guy.
Obata, yeah.
He was good for what he was, but like not super overwhelming or anything. Tim Settle feels like, and of course Von Miller too, but Tim Settle feels like the first like low key defensive line signing that's actually going to make like an immediate impact here and really disrupt some shit up there and stop people from running the ball all over us for the first time since Sean McDermott got here, really.
Yeah, I mean, what more do you need to see in a rep than that, right? Like just to see the upside and everything. I'm so happy with what they did with the defensive line, obviously with Von Miller and everything else, but retooling, like you said, retooling that interior defensive line, it's such a weird position. Like it's such a hard position to predict year to year at those interior defensive line positions, because there's so much else that goes into your production and everything else. And I just think the Bills just haven't, like, Ed Oliver maybe getting actually to play in position this year. Like, who knows what that's even going to do for him, like playing at his actual technique next to Daquan Jones and Tim Settle. Like, those little subtle things on the D-line, just the line in general, like, makes such a difference. And I think that they made the right changes to it. And seeing a rep like that with Settle, with a guy that has that, I mean, dude's just a force. Like, he just looks like they just look more imposing out there. And then you've got fucking Greg Rousseau's, like, I feel like he's still growing, like 6'8", 6'9", whatever he is at this point. It's just that's the thing I'm most excited about going into the year, is the revamping of this defensive line, because if it's as good as it can be, I mean, it changes the dynamic of this defense that was already great.
Yeah, no, seriously. MereKat, anything else on the defensive line? Anyone maybe you think we haven't mentioned that deserves a shout from that Indy game?
I think we pretty much covered it all.
I thought so. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That was fast. 23 minutes, 24 minutes, and we got that entire thing there. Moving forward, though, we do have, of course, we're going to go around the NFL here. That's something that we want to start doing here on this program. And some of it's going to tie into the Bills, whether that's opponents that we have coming up, whether that are teams that we plan on facing, or people who have recently signed contracts that could impact someone on the back end there. So here is what we've seen so far this week in the NFL.
It's the second to last day of Chiefs training camp, and the biggest news of the day was Chris Jones and Mecole Hardman both left practice early. Mecole Hardman went down hard in the end zone attempting to make a catch, coming up very slow, later finding out he has a groin injury.
The young guys, especially young receivers, we've got to be way more consistent. A lot of drops, a lot of bad route decisions, running the wrong route. We've got to be better in that area. a nice little reminder, DRS, that this wide receiver core at best is wildly unproven for a team that is a minus money favorite to win a division.
He's like, where were you at the lift? I'm like, I'm waiting for Derwin. I'll be right down.
We about to be down
so,
man, I'm so happy.
God, I'm so happy. It's gonna be a fun practice out there with you, and everyone's been waiting on you, and I think it was gonna be awesome for you to see us the way the team goes by you.
So, I already seen it. Drew blowing the horn, Dreamer coming out there. We seen it.
And that when we get on that field today,
we're bringing it in.
Yeah, we are.
So Derwin James going to be bringing the energy over to the Chargers, of course. Starting, though, with all that, Desean Watson, we know that he is getting 11-game suspension, getting fined a menial amount of money for someone who's about to make $200+ million over the next 5 years. I tweeted earlier that, the Browns owner basically said something along the lines of everyone deserves a second chance and he should rehabilitate himself and all that stuff. But second chances and rehabilitation comes in prison, not on an NFL field where you're making millions of dollars. So, MereKat, I know you had a very candid tweet about Desean Watson earlier, sharing the same sentiments as those Jags fans. You shook your head as soon as I said it. So I assume you, like 90% of the NFL world, disappointed that it wasn't probably a full year.
Yeah, I'll refrain from using some of the language I used earlier. But yeah, no, he's a sick fuck. If even, it's just like 11 games how he comes back for, it's also staged. I don't know.
To come back against the Texans, right?
Yeah, it's just like, what the fuck? Like, I hate it. He should be out at least the year, which I think he shouldn't be in the league at all. And the fact that, the NFL thinks it's okay because, they're doing it so that the Browns can't do that thing where they pay him only $1 million this year, and they're going to donate $7 million to, sexual abuse victims. So they're admitting this guy's a sexual abuser, and they're only donating $7 million, which I said is $7 to a normal person to the NFL. It's just I hate it, man. I don't know.
Yeah,
and I was such a fan of Desean Watson as a player before. Right? He was he was my favorite, not Buffalo Bill, and it's just if even 10% of the 5%, even one of the claims against him is true, he shouldn't be playing.
That's why it's still shocking. It's still shocking that we're at this point because of who. I mean, we were perceived that Desean Watson, the person, was before all this came about.
Yeah.
It's sick. I've said, I think Mere and I think we talked about this in a podcast earlier in the year too. It's despicable, and it's despicable for a lot of reasons with the 11 games, because that means they had to work in unison with this, because there's two sides to this, right? Because if he got suspended the 12th game, then his money would go to next year and he would only get paid the $1 million base or that $1 million base salary would go next year or whatever. So they could basically game the system with the salary cap again next year. So that's why it has to be 11 games. So it's sickening on the Browns' part, the way that they set this up, knowing he'd probably be suspended, the whole second chance crap from the Haslams and just those, I don't even know, those people are super villains at this rate. In general, but that's another story for another day. That's the Browns side of it. The NFL, then, the schedule makers and everything else had to know that in going in with these suspension talks, that this machination was in the collective bargaining agreement, that that he would basically have to be suspended only 11 games, otherwise the money would not transfer, and put that Texans games that they knew was there in that 12th game, so that it would be this big ratings ploy that we're going to get, and all this attention around this situation that shouldn't we don't need to give. It shouldn't be a football game attention. It doesn't need to be WrestleMania match Deshaun Watson at the Houston Texans for this first game. It's just going to be a sideshow that doesn't need to be involved. So sick on the NFL's part, sick on the Browns' part. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, no, it's not shocking. It's everything that we kind of expected. The NFL is making a spectacle out of it in every single way. And I feel like Roger Goodell really thought, and I know I misspelled his name earlier. I will acknowledge that here. But he doesn't deserve to have his name spelled right. So who the fuck cares?
Yeah.
But Roger Goodell was like, hey, we'll get this independent, attorney general to come in and do this to wipe my hands clean of it so I can come in and say, no, you know what? That's not harsh enough. Come on. I'm going to be the good guy here. I'm going to be the mediator. And, everybody saw through that immediately as soon as, the 6-game suspension came through.
So now we know that, and now we know that process, that it's just a bump in the road to whatever the NFL is going to want.
Exactly.
It's like the whole Judge Sue Robinson era of this whole thing. It didn't matter at all because this is what the NFL was going to do in the first, no matter what.
Mm-hmm. The Judge Sue Robinson era did not last very long. It's what it is, but he doesn't deserve any more time than we've already given him, or that the sports media world has given him in general. So we'll move on to some relatively bad news for the Chiefs. Mecole Hardman getting carted off at Chiefs camp the other day. Of course, Chris Jones, we saw in that clip, fell to injury as well. But I'm more interested in this one here because Chiefs fans might be upset about this. I think this is good for them, to be completely honest with you, because should he miss time, it's not good I'm never going to wish injury on anybody. I never would do that in my life. Maybe Deshaun Watson, but nobody else. But this immediately puts Sky Moore up the depth chart where that rookie belongs. He is the new Tyreek Hill over there. And I know Juju's not great. Juju's good. He's going to be a good big slot receiver over there. MVS, he is what he is. We saw that he wasn't really able to break out with Aaron Rodgers. I know Mahomes is definitely better than Rodgers, at least at this point in his career. But, I don't anticipate him being, that incredible of a deep threat over there. I really think it's going to end up being Sky Moore being the new Tyreek Hill, being the guy Mahomes can improvise to. He's going to need someone that can be there to buy time for him, because Mahomes is best when he improvises, when he ad-libs a little bit on the fly, and no one else on that offense gives him that opportunity. And I'm sure he was hoping, and maybe, Eric Bieniemy was hoping that Mecole Hardman could do that because he's fast. I really think Mecole Hardman stinks flat out, and Sky Moore now is going to get the opportunity that guy deserves. And I'm more worried about the Chiefs than I was before because of this injury. I can't even lie to you.
Like you said, I never ever wish injury on a player, but this is almost good for my mental health, because the past 3 years, Mecole Hardman has been my must grab fantasy receiver. This is the year he breaks out and has 1,500 yards, 15 touchdowns, and I finally might be able to stray away from that. It's tough, and Sky Moore scares me. I wish Justin Ross was healthy. If he was healthy, it's just another one less peg for him to climb on that depth chart. I just want to see him play football again so badly.
Yeah, that's never want to see that coming out of there. Hopefully, what is a groin spasm, right? Is what they said. Mm-hmm. That is. Yeah, that can't feel good for a while. So probably definitely will start. It's definitely not comfortable. So
anything that would hinder me sitting down is not something that I would want to have happen to anybody else.
No, not great.
Keeping on the wide receiver train here, we saw in that clip that Aaron Rodgers, again, not the first time in his career, is ridiculing young wide receivers, saying that they're not running the right routes, saying that they're just not on the same page. And he went further on in that clip to say that he's really excited about Allen Lazard and about Sammy Watkins, who apparently has really picked it up in practice, this is not a Diggs jersey. It's not a Diggs jersey. I wear that loud and proud. I know. I did just open up the drawer on my desk with the chair, though, so that's awkward. I'm not going to be able to turn now, so I'm stuck like this. Good thing I got a massage today, because I have to turn my neck like this to look at my other screen right now. But, Romeo Dubs, Christian Watson, those young guys, even Amari Rodgers, I'm guessing, is lumped into these guys who aren't, running the right routes. I said, Micah, when we did our NFC North preview, I was very low on the Packers. I don't expect them to win that division easily this year. This kind of just adds fuel to that fire of mine, wanting to put money on the Lions to win that division. I can't lie to you.
And Hard Knocks too, just getting you juiced up. Because honestly, I'm partway through episode 2 of Hard Knocks now, and I think the Lions they're gonna be 14-3. That team's ready to roll. I'm ready to run through a wall. Lions. No, I'm joking, but I think this is nothing that Rodgers hasn't said to these guys at practice probably too. So I'm not too big of him bringing it out in the media. I think it's just him being a hard ass, knowing that they they probably do have a long ways to go. Sure. I still think he can make it work, but he's not going to do it without leading in the way he does it. And that's what these types of things is. He's not afraid to go after the young receivers and try to get something out of them. And because one of these guys will show, like Rodgers, like testing like their, I don't know, like testing their fortitude, and one of them will show up, and then Rodgers will be his best. That'll be his best friend forever and ever. Like,
sorry,
what did Rodgers do?
No, Degenerate Al chirping on Twitter. Why is MereKat wearing Broncos color? Baby, I'm wearing Beavers color.
That's not Broncos. We're not riding. We're not
riding, baby. We're building.
Beeves country.
Damn.
Let's build.
Let's build. Beef country. Let's build. I need Isaiah Hodgins to do that so badly. But sorry, on the Packers receivers, Rodgers just loves his guys. Like Randall Cobb is probably going to be like
he's going to get 100 targets.
He's going to get 100 targets this year. It's going to be absolutely disgusting because I love their young receivers. I really liked Amari Rodgers last year. Didn't get much of a chance, but had a few chances to look good. And Watson and Dubes, however you say it, both very good. I love them coming out. Obviously, they have a lot of talent there, but if Rodgers isn't in love with them, I mean, they're screwed because it's Aaron Rodgers' world. We're just living in it.
Yeah, I mean, like, the reason I worry so much about him is because I think I went through the target shares with Majka when we did that show, and Devontae Adams was the only one over 100 targets. I'm pretty sure he was the only one over like 80 targets, and in second place was Aaron Jones. So it's going to be pretty tough. It's going to be pretty tough sledding over there for the Green Bay Packers on the offensive side of the football. But last thing we have, and we will tie this over to the Bills because there is another safety in the AFC that signed an extension. It's Derwin James, 4 years, $76.5 million, $42 million guaranteed. And there are rumors now that Jordan Poyer is personally expecting $20 million on his next deal. I don't know if that's verified or anything, or maybe it is. Oh no, Majka, I'm gonna miss you, buddy. But he will be, I know he will. He'll come in swooping like Batman exactly when we need him the most. The hero we need, or the one we deserve, or the one we needed right now.
Well, we need it, we want it, and we deserve it.
We deserve all the Majka in our life. But do we deserve Jordan Poyer after this year? Because, I mean, he's a lot older than Derwin James. He's not going to get that kind of a money and annual value, even on a 2-year deal at 31 years old.
Yeah, it's not looking good. Jordan Poyer is a Buffalo Bill after this season, but I don't know. Maybe we win a Super Bowl this year, and he's like, "Shit, I'm not leaving this place. Like, I want to play out my career here." He'll take, well, Brandon Beane will treat you right, man. You know that. You'll be treated right, but
he'll take care of his
don't
guys.
let somebody getting overpaid. And I'm not saying Derwin James isn't worth every penny. Derwin James is one of my favorite, if not the best. With defensive playmaker in the NFL in the secondary. He's just a super exciting player. And he deserves every penny he's getting, but I don't love that this is raising the cap, the ceiling so much on the safety market because Jordan Poyer is a top-tier guy.
Mm-hmm.
You said the cap, but that's good branding there. Just snuck that in there. That was impressive. I'm a little worried about what the safety market could look like, but Derwin James is also – how old is Derwin James? I should have had this pulled up right now.
I believe he's
like 25 or 4.
Yeah, 26.
Exactly. 26, okay.
That's the
a young 26 in 15 days, according to Pro Football Reference.
Happy early birthday, Derwin. I know you're listening.
Damn, yeah, of course he is.
What a birthday. What a birthday. I hope I turned 26 this year. I hope I get 42 million on my birthday. That would be great. But yeah, that's the difference for me is like, I don't know what the difference is money-wise. I still, like you said, MereKat, I think Beane can take care of his guys and get something done, especially if he has another productive year. But he ain't getting this kind of money anyway, so I'm not as worried about it from that perspective too.
Yeah, plus like the depth that we've built up behind Hyde and Poyer, between DeMar Hamlin, Jaquan Johnson, like both of them by next season will be ready to contribute in a full-time role. I'm not going to say that we won't miss Jordan Poyer, but the growing pains without him will not be nearly as bad as some people are making them out to be. And if you're just looking at the advanced stats that Pro Football Reference has between the two, I mean, across the board, every single number between the two is in favor of Derwin James. And so, it's what it is. You're going to lose good players eventually when you have to sign, especially when you have to sign guys like Ed Oliver and Tremaine Edmonds and Dawson Knox and Gabriel Davis and, all these guys who either are about to get, their second contracts or in need of extensions. It's a good problem to have.
Mm-hmm.
Disappointing, sure, but we had a top 3 safety tandem in the NFL for long enough. I think it's okay that Poyer moves on, as long as if he goes to the Chiefs or some shit like that. Like, that's the only thing that'll piss me off.
Yeah,
that's it. Just don't do that. Don't go ring chasing somewhere else.
Don't tell.
We do have Rachel Bush on Twitter though, saying she's gonna spill the beans on everything that's going on behind the scenes. What are those beans? Do you think? What beans is she gonna spill?
Probably
nothing.
See, everybody
literally
thinks
nothing.
That,
yeah,
like we're talking about Cole Beasley. Probably she's referring to whatever he had to say too and everything. You know what it sounds like to me? An NFL locker room, bro. You ever seen the show Playmakers? You see how much drama's in that shit. Mm-hmm. There's drama in NFL players and dudes getting paid millions of dollars. Yeah, come on. Like, who cares?
Of course.
Like, teams can hate each other and win Super Bowls, and teams can love each other and be 2-15. It don't matter.
No, it don't matter. But I think we know that this team loves each other, especially and considering the circumstances. And I think this is a good time to say, of course, just like everyone in the Buffalo community and the entire sports football world right now, our thoughts are going out to Dawson Knox and his family. Just the news of losing a younger brother, 22 years old, the FIU family. I did retweet from the Cap earlier, not Punt Foundation, but Del Reed tweeted out a way that people in Bills Mafia are donating to help out, donating to pediatric cancer research. So head to the Cap or go to Del Reed's Twitter if you are looking for some way to get involved and make the loss of Dawson Knox's brother not as such of a bad. Of course, it'll take a long time to heal, but the way that Bills Mafia comes together and rallies makes these times a little bit easier on those directly involved. So shout out Bills Mafia, and we'll go around the room right now. Shout out, give a little bit of shout to whoever we want. I'm gonna shout Dwayne from Massage Envy on at the McKinley location because he did a number on my back earlier, and I feel like 20 years younger. I feel like I can actually move. Like, oh my God, it was, and shout out Lauren for giving me the Massage Envy gift card for Christmas that I finally figured out to schedule an appointment for. Micah, who's gonna be your shout out on the show?
Man, I've had all show to think about this, and I don't know what it is.
I didn't even tell MereKat to think about it.
I know MereKat's gonna be ready. I've got nothing. I'm gonna shout out MereKat for providing you with entertainment for this whole afternoon.
That's true.
In fading our boy Captain. Go Bears. That's all I'm going to say. But shout out MereKat because I came out of a meeting and all of a sudden my phone was blown up and it was a pretty good time. So
Bears County. Let's Peterman.
Let's Peterman. Oh my God. I love it.
I'm going to shout out Nancy from Tuxedo Junction in the Boulevard Mall.
Yeah. Good one.
Super nice. Helped me get my tuxedo for the show last week. All on time, fit great, look great. I was supposed to return it today. I left it sitting in the studio. Just forgot about it. I'm sorry, Nancy. You're probably watching. I'll bring it back tomorrow. I promise.
It's coming. Don't worry, Nancy.
I just remembered that. That's not good. I'm sorry, Nancy.
I'm sure Nancy will find it in her fart. What?
Poor Nancy.
I need to get out of here. I need to run to Wegmans before I say something else too stupid. Shout out fans of Buffalo. Shout out Outlet Liquor. Shout out Nancy from Tuxedo Junction. Shout out MereKat and Captain's Beef on Twitter over the Parlay Fodder. Shout out Dwayne. Shout out everybody for tuning in. For myself, Micah, MereKat, and all at Trainwreck Sports. We will see you Saturday for the Bills Broncos pregame show.